Good afternoon, this is Bob Iacchino from Path Trading Partners along with my co-founder Mike Arnold, and this is an afternoon futures path chat for July 18th. Interesting day today, not a ton of movement, some small downside in the equity markets, a little bit of support from the NASDAQ by Netflix, who came in with pretty much double their domestic signups, their domestic subscriber growth, and double their international subscriber growth. International subscribers outnumber the domestic for the first time ever. You saw a little bit of a pop in the VIX there. We saw what people are calling a dollar collapse, a pretty significant move down in the dollar index and the dollar in general. The dollar's continued to get weaker, and today we saw levels that we haven't seen since about September 2016, when we had a CPI number of about 2.27. Now we've got about 1.6. So the Fed is really not being driven to become more aggressive, which would strengthen the dollar. But also the weakness in the dollar has as much to do with global central banks becoming, or at least giving the perception of becoming more aggressive. You saw that with the Royal Bank of Australia and what we saw with the Aussie currency, along with the Bank of Canada. A little bit of a slip back on UK CPI from 2.9 down to 2.6. And we've got the ECB tomorrow, and that's really the biggest thing. We're going to see what the ECB says, more so than what it does. We're coming to the top of their public sector purchase program. We're coming to the limits of what they can buy. So they're going to have to, at some point, put out a plan of how they're going to kind of dial these things back. And the economy is kind of giving them an opening to do that. Let's hope that they don't miss it as potentially the U.S. Fed did. But that's about it. Crude oil continued its rally, not by much. It was actually, today it was off by a few. But when you look at the overall trend lately of crude oil, it's been a little bit higher. Gold rallied on the weakness of the dollar. Same thing with the other precious metals. Natural gas, which we really don't cover, was up close to 2% on warmer weather. But that's about it in terms of a general review of what happened. So in the meantime, let me turn it over to Mike to let you know what he is seeing on the price action charts. Mike, it is all yours.
Thank you very much, Bob. So VIX popping up to around the 1035 level today, but dropping back down into the 9s. So still no fear, still VIX in the 9s, which is extremely low. Switching over to the financial futures, Dow mini futures dropped in the rotation zone, popped back up above the 12.5% GAN level. If we rally tomorrow, first target for us is 21,630. Then we'll be looking for our new GAN projections, 21,676 and 21,726. If we get through that, 21,733. On a pullback, first level support coming in at 21,485 area. Then we're going to be watching for about the 21,405 area. If we do drop below that, 21,378. Switching over to the S&P E-mini futures. S&P E-mini, slight down close today, trapped between the 12.5% GAN level and recent highs. If we rally up, we'll be watching for to still hit our 2,464 level, and once we get through that, we'll be looking for about 2,476. On a pullback, very strong support now coming in at 2,448 area. If we do drop below that, we'll be watching for 2,442. And then possibly down to 2,435 on a bigger pullback. NASDAQ, the best rally of all of them today, closing higher on the day, but not yet at new highs. So on a rally tomorrow, pretty much closing at prior major resistance, 58.85 level. Rally tomorrow, minor resistance coming in at 58.95. Then we'll be watching for 59.0750. If we do get through there, the longer term GAN projections are 59.7750. On a pullback, support's going to come in 58.52, then possibly all the way down to 58.20 are the major support levels. If that's broken, then we'll be watching for right around the 5800 level. Switching over to crude oil. Crude oil still finding resistance at this major 50% GAN level for the longer levels, 47.08, very key resistance. So we need to get through there. If we do get through 47.08, we'll be watching for 47.40, then a move to 47.91 to about 48. That's the upside on a pullback. Lots of support now coming in right around this 46.08. If we do drop below that, 45.91, then a potential return down to about this 45.57, and on a bigger sell-off, 45.10. Switching over to gold. Gold's had a nice 3-day rally, coming up straight to the 50-day EMA and the prior breakdown zone. So that's first level, this 1244 area. If we get through there, we'll be watching for 1246.50, and then if we get through 1246.50, about 1249.50. This did trigger a trend line trade with the full target being this 1249.50 area. On a pullback, support coming in at 1239.50. Then we'll be watching for no major support down to about this 1233.50, and if we do get back through that, about 1230. Finally, over to silver. Silver also nice 3-day rally, coming up to this longer trend line, which was key resistance today. So rally again tomorrow, 16 about 24 first level. Then we'll be watching to return to the breakdown zone, 1640. Then above that, 1647 on a pullback. First level support coming in about 1617. Then we'll be watching for a potential drop to about 1603 to $16. If we do break that, next major level down is about the 1595. That's all we have for you on this brief futures update. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks for that, Mike, and thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in cryptocurrency, check out our educational series on charting of cryptocurrencies. You'll see some of the same techniques we use in the futures applied to cryptos, and you'll see how well it works. There's Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. We've got updates on all of those and educational series updates on all of those. Also, check out the Money Path Podcast. Episode number 80 is in the ether. Type in the Money Path Podcast into Google Play or iTunes, or check it out at pathtradingpartners.com. Hit like and subscribe, and we will talk to you in the next Path Chat. Cheers, everyone.